An early life of crime led a young Malcolm Little to find himself in prison. With an abundance of time, Malcolm turned to reading as a means to pass the time and educate himself, and this severely impacted how he would go about the issues of civil rights during his years as an activist. Malcolm X would later recount, "I've often reflected upon the new vistas that reading has opened to me. I knew right there in prison that reading had changed forever the course of my life. As I see it today, the ability to read awoke inside me some long dormant craving to be mentally alive." Reading while imprisoned allowed Malcolm to discover the Nation of Islam, which upheld ideas of black determination similar to those of Marcus Garvey, who influenced Malcolm's parents. His inception into the NOI made Malcolm Little get rid of his last name, which was passed down from previous slave owners, and adopt his more popular surname, X. The adoption of the Islamic religion allowed Malcolm X to leave his self-sabotaging behavior of drinking, smoking, and gambling behind, as these things are forbidden in the Islamic religion. After getting out of prison, NOI founder Elijah Muhammad appointed Malcolm as one of the NOI's most prominent leaders. Malcolm X's speeches were powerful and transformative, allowing the Nation of Islam to flourish with new members. In contrast to Martin Luther King's nonviolent approach, the NOI had the opposite stance of self-defense that appealed to African Americans who felt a more violent approach to civil rights was necessary. Tensions between Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad grew as they did not align on where they wanted the NOI's focus to be on. Trying to exclude political stance from the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X was barred from speaking for 90 days by Elijah Muhammad. Here is Malcolm X discussing his punishment.
Malcolm X, you were involved in a controversy some months ago with your leader.
Oh, well, I've been silent for the past 90 days because of some statements I made concerning the President of the United States, which were distorted.
They were distorted?
And yes.
What did you say, Malcolm?
Well, I said the same thing that everybody says, that his assassination was the result of the climate of hate.
But
only I said the chickens came home to roost, and which means the same thing.
You feel that we're making progress in this?
No. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made, and they haven't even begun to pull a knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
Malcolm's increasing popularity saw him steer away from the NOI and eventually cut ties with the group altogether in 1964. Despite this, Malcolm's Islamic religiosity was still prominent as he went to Mecca that same year. Astounded by the diversity, Malcolm recounts in his autobiography, "Since I learned the truth in Mecca, my dearest friends have come to include all kinds, some Christians, Jews, Buddhists, Hindus, agnostics, and even atheists. I have friends who are called capitalists, socialists, and communists. Some of my friends are moderates, conservatives, extremists. Some are even Uncle Toms. My friends today are black, brown, red, yellow, and white." This transformative event allowed Malcolm X to change his perspective on his approach to civil rights activism. Rather than focusing on civil rights in America, he wanted this fight for human rights to be heard internationally in the fight against colonization.
Afro-American unity sees the only hope for the black man in America in a strong Africa, and the necessity of the Afro-American becoming inseparably linked with the overall program that's existing on the African continent. The two problems must be solved together, and the two forces must go forward together. And so the Organization of Afro-American Unity has a program to link the Afro-Americans with the Africans and the Africans with the Afro-Americans. When I say Afro-Americans, I mean those throughout the entire Western Hemisphere. This is our only hope. Our hope is in a strong Africa. And when Africa is strong, our position in America will be one of respect. But if Africa is weak, we will never be in a position of respect in America. They used to have a saying that one doesn't have a Chinaman's chance. But they don't say that anymore. They used that expression back when China was weak. But now since Mao Zedong has been successful in making China a strong country, the Chinese have more chance than anybody else. So this saying has become outdated. Well, just as it took a strong China to give a Chinese person respect wherever that Chinese person is found on this earth. When we get a strong Africa, the person of African origin or African ancestry will be respected any place on this earth, even in America. But he will not be respected in America until Africa is strong, just as the Chinaman wasn't respected abroad until China became strong.
Unfortunately, Malcolm X's legacy was cut short when he was assassinated in 1965. His influence on the African American community through his connection to Islam determined the future societal changes that would occur in the U.S. with more African American political groups upholding his ideology of self-defense and combat to fight racial inequality.